to my channel. Welcome to Ask Sis Legal. I am Sisceley Banks, legal assistant. This is a YouTube channel for legal support staff, HR reps for legal departments, law offices, law firms, and some lawyers as well if you feel this channel helps you. If it doesn't, keep it moving to find another channel. Welcome. Okay, today I'm going to talk about some things I've noticed over the years with new attorneys. Oh, wow. I would say it's kind of the same, when you're a new lawyer, how serious it is and the work you produce and the whole learning process. I mean, some places they will really put you through the ringer, kind of like medical school. Because, in medical school, it's like the long coats and the short white coats. And the short white coats, they are the medical students. And I had a friend I went to school with, and she was in medical school, and they just treated her like crap. She was doing an intern as a surgeon, and oh my God, she was constantly in tears. But you know what? You're dealing with people's lives, so just to get an understanding of the severity of it, you do have to take it seriously. So for the new recruits, the new attorneys, just a little word of caution to keep an open mind. And it is a competitive field, for the legal field being mostly a predominantly male profession. For women, it can be tough. I mean, some offices you don't run into those kind of issues, those gender issues. The men are up here, the women are down here. Some offices are not like that. They don't pull that kind of crazy stuff, but some do. And one of the things I just want you guys to be careful with, this is for the newer attorneys. And, who are your mentors? Do you feel like someone's working with you one-on-one enough? There was one office I was working at, and it was a new attorney. She was real cool, but she started off strong, and then things got a little crazy for her later on. Her story, she was working with one of the shareholders, okay? And she just passed the bar. She was fresh out of school. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a virus here. But she was fresh out of school, and she was working with one of the shareholders. Well, one of the things I noticed is this shareholder would throw the newer attorneys under the bus, sending them to court hearings unprepared. The monitoring wasn't good. And there were some things that were going on that shouldn't have gone on. I mean, I'm not saying, morally, but more ethically. And the fingers were all pointing towards the newer attorneys. Well, from what she found out, the newer attorney, she had to get counsel of her own to help her, analyze things that were really going on that were being put in her name. And it just wasn't right. So here's the thing. You want to make sure you're being mentored right. I really hope a lot of you young attorneys out there are being mentored by individuals who really want to see you do well in your profession. Because some of them, they're just throwing work at you and they want to see you fail. They don't want to see you get the opportunities and advantages that maybe they felt they never had. Or kind of like, you're not taking my shine from me. It can, the competitiveness can be really ridiculous. If you're constantly coming home feeling like you are just not doing it, you know your areas and where you should know areas where you're strong and where you need to improve. These things should be discussed with you on a regular. You should be sitting in on depositions, on facilitations. If you feel like you're being thrown to the wolves, a note to you senior level attorneys, you're putting yourself at risk for being turned into the attorney grievance, some kind of grievance commission against attorneys. Okay, you don't want to do that. When you have new attorneys, they need to be very closely monitored, okay? And I know you guys want to do the best that you can. You want to build a good reputation, that comes out with the quality of work, not the quantity, but the quality of work. And you want to keep the workload to a good minimum. so they can fine tune some skills, fine tune any other areas that need to be worked on. And to improve, it takes time. You're not just going to roll over one morning, then all of a sudden, you're this top tier attorney. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes really good mentorship and networking as well. So, do your due diligence, do your part, ask as many questions as possible. Anything that you are not feeling confident about, you should feel comfortable to talk to someone in your office about that. Like, okay, I have a facilitation scheduled tomorrow. These are the things I'm not feeling so good about. You should be able to talk to someone in your office, one of the managing shareholders or managing partners, about that, about your concerns. If you feel you can't, you may be in the wrong place. You know what I mean? So some places are money hungry. They take in a high volume, and they don't care who does the work. And as a result, performances are suffering. Things are slipping through the cracks. So you want to make sure these cases out there are evenly distributed. Some offices do that, some don't. But as newer attorneys, you really want to be careful where you go to get your experience. If it's not working for you, if you feel like your profession is being put on the line, then feel free to find another place to go. You don't have to stay where you're at. I was working at one office, and this was before we just had like a mass exodus of attorneys leaving because this was years ago, and it was a lot. Each attorney, they had 200 cases apiece plus. And all the e-filings were going to one repository. So there were 12 attorneys. You do the math. 12 attorneys, some of them brand new, 200 cases apiece, one e-filing repository. All those cases, all those filings going into the repository. Guess who handled the repository? Me and another assistant. Are we there now? No. So that's a crazy system. It is not a good system. It is a system to set up to fail. So I would not recommend a system like that. But there was one attorney who was there, and I just asked him. I was like, "Hey, I hear you're leaving." He was like, "Yeah, this is some BS." Like, please. I said, "Do you feel like it's messing with your profession?" He said, "Absolutely." Because settlement conferences were getting missed. Judges and attorneys were calling. They were like, "Hey, we're waiting on you. Where are you?" And they never even got the notice. It was mixed in the repository, and it was a mess. Okay. And just a lot of dates got missed for a lot of attorneys. And the way they did their pleadings, the paralegals were at another office in another state. So if the attorney drafts something, he sent it to the paralegal in another state. When they had time, they looked at it. If they okayed it, they sent it to the attorney's secretary in another state. It's too many hands in the pot and jumping from here to there. By the end of the day, you're waiting on one document to get filed. It was a screwy system. It didn't work. I don't know what they're doing now. I hope they're doing something better. But it was a mess. But anyway, he was pretty new. Probably less than 10 years, but I thought he was a pretty good attorney. And he said he had over 200 cases. He didn't like it. He said he felt it messed with his practice. I can understand that. There was no help, no mentorship, no assistance, none of that. So he left, and then after that, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were filing out of there. So I definitely can understand that. So you do want to look at quality versus quantity. And what good is having 50 to 60 to 100 to 200, 300 cases if you blow in all of them? You know what I'm saying? So that's not good. And that's, in my opinion, I feel like that's malpractice. So pulling stuff like that, you really are putting your firm at risk for being investigated. So some firms out there are being investigated, but they don't know it. So if you want to go that way, you do however you want to do your office. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, the results have not been good. So, as a newer attorney, you young associates, I really hope you have someone that's taken the time to sit and talk with you, to go through proper strategies, meeting with you one on one, being accessible even on the weekends. If you have a quick phone call, okay, I have a meeting with the client on Monday. What do you think of this list of questions I have? You know, some of you out there are trying to wing it on your own because you don't want to look stupid, but you got to ask. You got to have that mentorship. If you feel you can't talk to anybody there, to help guide you through it, then maybe you shouldn't be there and you should find someplace else where you are getting that good mentorship. I mean, don't shoot yourself in the foot here. There are multiple other places where you could be. And there's another story I remember from that same place that I was talking about that one shareholder throwing people up under the bus. There was this other attorney. She was senior level, and she really knew her stuff. And I think she's still working there. She's very smart. And I always thought she should be a professor at a law school. She's that smart. Anybody that trains with her, that woman will have you in tears, but it's all for the good. She wasn't taking no mess. And she was also the kind of attorney, she didn't want just anybody being her assistant either. She went through quite a few, but she got some that stuck. And you really got to be with it when you work with her. She wasn't taking no mess. She was a little red haired lady, and we had a new one of the baby lawyers that came in, and she worked with her side by side. And I seen that girl in tears plenty of days. She let her do a deposition on her own. And after it was all over, she put that girl through the ringer, and she went back to her desk crying. When the other shareholders were like, you know what, y'all can't be crying over stuff like this. This is a profession you chose. And yes, you're putting our reputation as well on the line when you're going out there representing us, representing yourself and the firm. So we don't want to see no tears. We don't want to see you crying over this stuff. Here's some things where you missed it. You should have asked such and such question. If you didn't know, you should have talked to me about it. I thought you had everything under control. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're going to put you through the ringer. And then again, if you're going to cry it out, go ahead, but wait till you get home. They don't want to see no tears in your office when you bawling, throwing a fit, having an emotional breakdown. Come on. I mean, you pulling an emotional breakdown, they're not going to be passing many cases to you. You're like, you need to get it together. Until we see an improvement here, they would just stick you with paralegal work. You'll just be sitting at your desk doing research. I've seen it happen multiple times. So get your emotions together. They're going to give you some tough love, and it's all for the good. Keep in mind, this is a profession that you chose. They're going to be hard on you. They don't want you going into meetings, into depositions, into hearings, getting your butt kicked. And some of the judges, you may have all your T's crossed and I's dotted. Some of the judges out there are jerks, and they will embarrass you in front of everybody and be loud about it. Some of them won't even let you get a word in. Any attorneys out there, you know what I'm talking about? I know y'all do. And they don't care. Some of it is flat out funny, but some of it is not. It's not. Then that's where we come in as assistants, and we just, just give them a little pep talk. It's going to be all right. Get you some coffee. Well, you know what? We'll knock it out the next day. How about that? Yeah. So it's the... Excuse me, but it's all part of the profession. It's all part of the profession. And yeah, you're going to have some things thrown at you, and some of it will make you cry and break down. Even some of the guys, I've seen them get tear bags in their eyes. I'm like, dang, man. Yeah, it's tough, but anyway, going back to the little redhead lady, she was coaching and working with this other young attorney, and she had really high credentials. The newer attorney, she was very active. She was smart. She really knew her stuff. I think she had graduated summa cum laude or something from her law school. Very smart, much potential. I liked her a lot, and to me, she stuck out as somebody that could start her own firm from the ground up. She was that smart. But she came in contact with the little redhead lawyer, okay? And I guess From what I seen, it seemed like everything she knew just went out the window. But it's all, but you know, it's, yeah, she just wanted to make sure she was sharp. To make the long story short, they ended up being really good friends and good references for one another. The newer attorney, she ended up going to a slower pace law office for a corporation, and it kind of took the redhead attorney by surprise because she didn't think she would leave, and she did. So she just said, "Yeah, it's nice and all, but this was just way too much." See what I mean? And she was another one fresh out of law school, and so she picked something slower pace. I hope she's doing well now because she was really smart. But that was that, and I could hear her. My cubicle was like right outside the redhead's office, and I could hear her calling her. Calling that the attorney that left, calling her at her office, saying, "Hey, I'm just calling to let you know I was thinking about you." You know, in a nutshell, just like assistants for you attorneys out there, you got to do what's best for you. You know, what's personal is personal, what's business is business. You know what I mean? If you feel like it's too much, then find something a little more slower pace. And there's no shame in that because then again, your reputation is on the line as well. Okay. You want to build a good client base and a good reputation for you and your practice. So, I think that's pretty much all I have for you today for the lawyers, for the baby lawyers. But be encouraged, ask your questions. Don't let people put a whole lot on you. That shouldn't be. I mean, what are you learning from that? If you're overworked and you're not sure of what's going on or what happens next, you know, that's a true setup for malpractice, and somebody's going to report it eventually if it continues. So it is something to take seriously. So I really hope you're paired up with some good mentors. Don't lie to yourself. If you feel like there's a better opportunity elsewhere, then go ahead and take it. Go ahead and try it. You know, do what's best. Do what's best for you. And you may need to switch and change another area of law. That's okay. You know, maybe you want criminal, maybe you want divorce, maybe you want patents or intellectual property. I don't know. Whatever your niche is, I really hope you find it. And yeah, just beware because some of the attorneys out there that you guys are working with do not have your best interests and they don't want you doing better than them. And it's a constant battle, and you're second guessing yourself and you're making a lot of mistakes. So take some time, pick a few vacation days, and do some reevaluating and reassessing. Is this really the place you want to be? Do you like that area of law? You know, even if you're fresh out, you know, maybe you're not sure, feel free to try another area and see how that goes. You know what I mean? So this is all I have for you, and I will see you at the next video.